I have a question this morning from an aspiring writer, Patrick Sundqvist, at PIVVE on Twitter. Morning, Patrick, and he asks, I wanted to get some of your insight into becoming better at conveying facial expressions in writing. One obvious choice would be to acquire a thesaurus. Would you recommend looking at photos and trying to convey the facial expression you see there? Great question. I think it's actually kind of in many ways the wrong question, but it brings up a really interesting aspect of writing that you might not have thought about. And one is the fact that the writer only writes a bit of the story. And in fact, the writer really just gives you the prompts. If you think, I don't have a good picture behind me, but if you think of a kind of Chinese landscape painting in black and white, huge parts of the picture are left white. They're just the plain paper. Whereas the painter will go in and they will give you outlines of mountains and a few clouds, maybe a little hut at the bottom and a little, Chinese man either sitting drinking tea or reading a scroll or something at the bottom. But in your mind, you fill in those blank spaces. And that's really what writing does. You have a kind of a blank page, and you have a few kind of black lines, which are the words. But really, all you're doing is you're giving the reader prompts for their own imagination. And actually, the reason reading is such an intense experience because the reader writes most of the story. They put in all the kind of the blanks. So you have to give the reader the prompts their imagination needs. And in many ways, that's not giving them too much. You can kind of smother their imagination if you're giving them too much detail, if you're describing too precisely. So you want to, I think, kind of pull back a little bit. I'm almost up on time now. I'll come back tomorrow on what I think you should do, and some tricks of portraying character that you might find really useful. And I'll come back to that tomorrow.